Alright, it's time for that moment when. Egocentrism Instrumental Deluxe Edition Retrospective Review. Wow, that's a lot of words. Initially was like, oh, this won't be that long. Maybe it will. I do have some things to say, some things to add to my former review. I will say I'm not changing that score, but I think there again, the things I notice more on the instrumental only version, I guess I'm going to blame the instrumentals for on the instrumental only version a little bit more. And because a light 6 is pretty low, all things considered, for some of the good stuff in here, I'm very okay with leaving that at a light 6. Which, spoiler alert, I guess. This is the instrumental deluxe version. I've already reviewed the original version, which I think is still probably the most accurate to what this album is, and I do think there is a lot lost on this instrumental deluxe edition. Now, I'm going to give an example. Selfish is a song that I love on this album, especially this version, because there's no vocals, which is one of the things that ruins the track. However, the part that is the main, with the main melody, is 10 measures long. There are a lot of parts of the album that sound like this, and I'm not pointing all of them out, but a lot of the songs, because again, the only song that did not have any vocal part at all, or lyric, or anything, is Digital. Even Me, the intro track, had another part, which, yes, does make it so that Me is kind of like a Thesis of Boredom 2, to some extent, which I think isn't that bad. I give it a pass. It's like, it's whatever. But it does mean that a lot of these songs are way more repetitive than they already were, even if they were like in their proper form and not, and they were cut down a bit. It'd also be weird. There are also some other removals. For some reason, I had it where the vocal backing bit in Selfish is still there, which, yes, is the better one, but the one in Content is gone, which also means that that part is even more repetitive because it was adding to build up the instrumental. So that song has a pretty repetitive intro, and it is even more repetitive. I still don't hate it, but it's, the backing drums beat being what it is a little more accentuated, which is not the best. Digital is still digital. Movement is still movement, but it is too long. It's a really good song, but it's just like, it's, why didn't I have it cut? Why did I not cut it down? Party of Infinity is a snooze fest. This, with no vocals, is so slow and so repetitive. It's insane. It does not get to do that. There's not enough development in this song to warrant over 4 minutes. I was sleeping. 35 Days is a song I really like, but also is really repetitive. It definitely is not as bad as some other tracks here. I think more because it's so unique in what it is, and it's not very long. It's like barely over 2 minutes, but it is very repetitive until the drop bit. So it's a little too much. It's a little too much. Wandering, kind of the same thing, but I think it's not as bad. It is definitely a little too repetitive, though. The version of it, the single release that happened after the fact, that's instrumental, was better. Selfish, I think the instrumental is a little better than I gave it credit for, but at the same time, I don't really know. It's like not bad, and I do like that at least there's no empty space where the like lyrical bit was. Because that would have been really goofy. But I don't know. I'm very mixed on it. And then, Heterochromia. Now, this bonus track alone, which again, it's like kind of a bonus and kind of not. I think given it's for this additional version, I'm gonna just fully count it as track. I think it's a great conclusion to the album. It kind of pushes up towards something new, and I really like it. Yeah, the helicopter synth is a little in your face, but personally, I don't mind it, and I think it works perfectly fine for how kind of the song is mixed anyway. And it's actually like really good. This has a really nice synth melody. It has really fun, like, in kind of distorted industrial drums. There's a lot of good here. I really, or I don't know. I really like this song. Is it enough to fully carry this album? No. Do I think this is better or worse than the old one? That's hard. This version of the album is the easiest to throw on when you're doing homework and not paying attention at all, which is to say, this album is now background noise. Is that wholeheartedly a bad thing? I think not, especially because the only other album I can think that does it like this isn't like that the whole way through, being Annual Doctor's Appointment. So it does kind of function in a unique space because of that. Like, there's not a lot that's really like this at all. Like, I really can't think of an album that functions directly this way, because even, like, I don't know, Light in the Spiral has moments like that, but moments. There's also Roach. This does not have Roach. And, like, Digital is still enough of a vibe that even with the weird bass in the drums, doesn't feel that bad. So yeah, most is to say, this album is unique among my discography for being a bit boring, but also, and a bit boring. There's only one thing I quite remember, which is the hi-hat on Party of Infinity is annoying once I noticed it, like really annoying once I noticed it towards the end of the song. I'm not sure if it was there the whole way through or not. I don't remember, and I'm not checking, but that was annoying. But yeah, I don't know. I think overall, again, this is pretty unique in what it functions to do, but it also loses a lot of what egocentrism is. You lose, like, I feel like the instrumental kind of served to push up the vocals and lyrics, but because the vocals and lyrics are gone, the central theme feels pretty gone as well. Like, I feel like the titles alone don't do enough to service that, which again isn't, I don't know. Like, I feel like with Stages, the title sets the tone and then you can feel it. With Title Ends Here, you have some bits of lyrics and things, but also it's so out of whack that it's consistent. This is kind of the polar opposite of what that album is. Do I think it does it as well? No. And so it's really hard for me to give this a big plus one way or the other. At the very least, this is pretty original across the board, even with some sampling. This is like a very, like, shoelace album, but I don't exactly know what to do with it. And I think at that, if not for Heterochromia, I might put it lower, but I think that just because it does function in this way where it kind of is a vibe fest that, yes, has objectively bad issues, but like there aren't that many like horrific instrumental moments. The bigger problems are it being too repetitive and actually, yeah, that's mostly what it is. It's it being too repetitive. Like, I can't think of too much where it's just, and then Offset, I guess, like, right, with the amount of measures and things. So I'm gonna give it a light 6. I do think Heterochromia is the reason, because it's such a good conclusion track, and it does really feel like between the track like flow from 35 Days to Heterochromia is really good. Like, that's a really good, and yes, Selfish is not great, and I don't even remember if I talked about it last time, but those horns are not great, but they're not bad either. They just don't really feel like they totally fit everything else, but that synth line is great. Like, it really is that good. Like, that part's really good. So yeah, I'm feeling a light 6. I think purely because it's a tier above average, simply because there aren't really any other albums I've made that really function in the way that this does, where it can just be kind of a background noise album. And that alone gives it some functionality, but not much more. So it's the lightest of 6s. It's a very low 6. And I think if I did have to pick between the two of them, I think I prefer the original album a little bit more, just because the lyrics did do that much for it. Like, there are some segments that really do get elevated, and it does make this a little more bland by comparison. Anyway, you know that moment when, hey, we got through the Stages trilogy, all 4 of the trilogy. Yeah.